Hello dear children. Now in this video we will discuss about accounting equation and double entry bookkeeping. Okay, so today double entry bookkeeping is also known as double entry system. I hope you know that. Okay, and double entry system is a system under which we will record our financial transactions. Okay, in the previous video we have already discussed that there are two methods of recording the transactions. That is, one is single entry system and the other one is the double entry system. Okay, and this double entry system is also known as double entry bookkeeping. Okay, by bookkeeping we generally mean recording of financial transactions. Okay, now let us see out here. Okay, so what is DEB or double entry bookkeeping? So it is a system of recording financial transactions, okay, in which we have the two aspects of a transaction. Okay, under this system, we assume that there are two aspects of a transaction. For example, if you visit a shop, okay, uh, there will be a shopkeeper and you, that is the customer or consumer. So there are two parties involved out here, isn't it? So in a financial transaction, always the two parties will be involving and they will be interacting with each other. Okay, there are two parties involved all the time, and these two parties or these two aspects are termed as debit and credit in simple terms. Okay, now what are the features of double entry bookkeeping? Okay, number one, two parties. As we already discussed out here, that always and always two parties are involved. Okay, that is, one is debit and the other one is credit. Okay, so you can relate this principle with the Newton's third law of motion. That is, for every action there is equal and opposite reaction, isn't it? So if there is debit, there will be credit all the time. Okay, so if there is action, there is always reaction. Similarly, for debit, there is always credit. Okay, this is the fundamental basis of double entry bookkeeping system. Okay, now separate entity. Under this system, we assume that business and the owner of the business, they two are separate legal entities. Okay, separate entities we have already discussed in the principles of accounting. Okay, and results. Okay, so by result what we mean out here is always and always the total of debit side will equal to the total of credit side. Okay, for example, uh, if you visit a shop and purchase a commodity of rupees 100, okay, so you will pay the shopkeeper rupees 100 and the shopkeeper will give you the goods amounting rupees 100. Okay, so by results under this double entry system we mean this. Okay, and complete accounting system. By complete accounting system we are actually referring to the scientific system, okay, of recording financial transactions. By complete, we also mean that the transactions are recorded such a way that both the parties are involved. Okay, so if a shopkeeper is recording transaction, okay, uh, and in future if there is any kind of dispute, okay, so to redress the grievances of the consumer, if the consumer, if he visits the shop and then uh, in the shop it can be found very easily because the shopkeeper will be recording the books of accounts under this double entry system. Okay, so it is a complete system of recording as well as it is a scientific method of recording financial transactions in the books of accounts. Now, what are the advantages of the double entry system? The advantages of double entry system are, okay, let us start from this point. finds the accurate and fair position of financial statement. Yes, it is true, because the double entry bookkeeping system, it helps to ascertain the accurate value and the position of the financial statement, as well as the financial position of the company. Okay, by financial position we are actually referring to the position of assets as well as liabilities. Okay, now feasibility of business management. So under this system, to manage the business, it will be more feasible. By feasible, you can say that it will be possible, okay, to manage the business, because when the managers, they sit up for the meeting, the double entry system, it provides the information, okay, the required amount of information, data, everything will be provided. So by looking at that data, by looking at that information, they can make the decisions for the business. Okay, so the double entry system, it makes the business smooth, and it also advocates the proper functioning of the entire management. Okay, now effortless approachability of the facts. Okay, so the uh, facts can be approached, effortlessly, because the facts, whatever the information that you are recording in the books of accounts, okay, you can reach effortlessly. Okay, because the facts, whatever are there, is already available in the books of accounts. Okay, so you don't have to go in person and check each and every single fact. Okay, because all the facts are compiled in the books of accounts at one place. Okay, similarly, we can uh, relate to this part, that is relative study approach. Okay, this decisive information, okay, entire transactions report, okay, find exact profit or loss, then arithmetical accuracy check. Okay, then you can also control the frauds. So there are varieties of advantages of double entry system. Okay, let me tell you just this part, that is relative study approach. So by relative study approach, we are actually referring not only to accounting, but also to the business, okay, as well as the economics. Okay, so whatever the financial transactions, okay, whatever the data that you will process and record in the books of accounts, they are actually related to the business. For example, you have purchased an asset worth rupees 1 lakh. Okay, so that purchasal of asset is actually associated to the business, isn't it? So this is, I mean, this particular transaction, okay, of the purchase of assets is actually related to your business. So this is how we can uh, relate one uh, subject with the other subject. Okay, so this is your relative study approach. Okay, decisive information we have already discussed out here. Okay, that the managers can make the decisions very easily. Okay, yes or no. Okay, either yes or no, whether we should do this or not. So it will be very much helpful because the data will be provided out here. Okay, and uh, the double entry system, it also advocates that the entire transactions will be recorded. So you will be having the entire transactions, okay, whether be it debit side as well as the credit. Okay, don't think that by credit we are actually referring to that credit, okay, that you take, I mean the loan, okay, from someone else. For example, like you take credit from someone else, like you take credit rupees 500 from your friends. Okay, so it's not like that. By credit we are actually referring uh, to the opposite of debit. Okay, because an account, it has two sides, that is, one is the debit side and the other one is the credit side. Okay, so this debit and credit, they are actually the two sides of an account. Okay, because in the double entry system, we have already seen that that there are two parties involved. That is, one is debit and the other one is the credit. Okay, so whenever you look for the information or the meaning of this term credit, you will find in your normal dictionary that credit is something that you have taken loan from someone else. Okay, that is, you are being owed. Okay, so it is not that. In the dictionary of accounting, you will find it to be something different. Okay, now it can, I mean, the double entry system, it can help you to find the profit and loss. Okay, exactly. Why in the exact format? Because it it is completely accurate. Okay, it is mathematically, it is accurate. Okay, and you can also control over the frauds. Okay, whoever is doing the fraud. Okay, if your manager is making extra money. Okay, or if the manager is showing less amount of profit. Okay, by doing some kind of uh, mischievous activities, okay, or illegal things, then it can be controlled over. Okay, so how to control over the frauds? You will learn this in the higher level. Okay, when you reach uh, the level of university, or after completing your graduation, if you pursue the study of chartered accountancy. Okay, and then at that point of time you can pursue at the same time, along with CA, you can do forensic accounting course also. Okay, so in the forensic accounting, we can study about how to control the frauds. Okay, but this system, okay, it has advantages. Since it has advantages, it also has disadvantages, just like debit and credit. For every advantage, there is always a disadvantage. Okay, so what are the disadvantages of double entry system? I have highlighted these 3 points out here. Okay, this image is actually taken from the internet. Okay, it's also available in the internet. You can check it out. Okay, so let us discuss these 3 points. This system requires the maintenance of a number of books of account, which is not practical in small concerns. Yes, it is true. Okay, so whatever the uh, be the number of the books of accounts, okay, be it 20 or 25 or 30, 40, 50, okay, it can be very, very large. Okay, so it is not possible for a small enterprise to follow this particular system. Hence, they follow the single entry system. Okay, now excuse me for that. The puja is going on. Anyway, so okay, this system actually it requires the maintenance of a number of books of accounts, which is not practical in small enterprises or small concerns. So just let me give you an example of a small stores. Okay, like the small grocery stores. Okay, that meat wala. Okay, or that small shops. Okay, like you can say that pan wala. Okay, so these persons. Okay, these are the small enterprises, isn't it? So these persons cannot maintain their books of accounts under the double entry system. So they follow the single entry system. Okay, so this double entry system is only possible in the large enterprises. Okay, and why it is not so possible to follow in the small scale enterprises? Because it is very costly. Okay, because to maintain this double entry system, you have to do auditing in two levels. Okay, the first level is the internal level, and the second one is the external level. So it costs a lot. Okay, you have to hire a chartered accountant, you have to make the payment. Okay, then again you have to hire an accountant who will audit your books internally. Again, you have to make the payment to that internal auditor also. So it is very costly. So the small scale business, what they do is that they don't hire a CA or an accountant. Instead, they will record the transactions on their own. Okay, I hope you have noticed whenever you go to any store, okay, let's say you go to a mobile store and you want to recharge, okay, okay, so then the shopkeeper, what he or she does is that he or she record by himself or herself, isn't it? You must have recorded, sorry, seen that they record the transactions, okay, like 100 rupees, okay, sale rupees 100, recharge of Vodafone Idea voucher 250. So they just write like this. They don't write debit and credit. So they actually follow the single entry system. Why they do so? Because it is very, very costly, okay. And in this double entry system, there is no guarantee of absolute accuracy of the books of accounts. Okay. Uh, Even when you prepare a trial balance, and the trial balance, it shows you the correct balance. Okay. The total of debit, total of debit balances and the total of credit balances, they will equal. Okay. Total of debit will equal to total of credit. But there is no absolute guarantee that there will be 100% accuracy of the books of accounts. That the same thing that we have discussed out here is arithmetically accurate check. Okay, so yeah, you can check arithmetically, but however, there are some areas, there are some loopholes, okay, that this system it lacks in. Okay, we will discuss the same when we reach the chapter trial balance. Okay, we will see out there in great detail. Okay, so that is about your double entry system. Now let us talk about accounting equation. So what is accounting equation? uh, Accounting equation, actually it was propounded by the father of accountancy, okay, Fra Luca Pacioli, or sometimes it is also referred to as Fra Luca Bartolomeo de Pacioli. Okay, so he is the father of accountancy. So when he wrote the book Summa de Arithmetica in the year 1494, okay, towards the end of the 15th century, when he wrote the book, uh, he proposed, okay, he gave an algebraic equation, and that equation is known as accounting equation. Okay, and the same equation later it was modified by an accountant, okay, an American accountant, Charles Ezra Sprague, and his student, Professor Henry Rand Hatfield. Okay, they have modified this terms afterwards, and they came up with this. Okay, that is A equals to C plus L. That is, A stands for assets, and C for capital, and L for liabilities. Okay, we will discuss what is assets, what is capital, what is liabilities in great detail afterwards. Okay. Now, let us move to this section. Transactions and events. Okay, so what are transactions and what are events? So before we move on to this section, I want to show you this particular chart. Okay, I hope you can see this very clearly. Okay, event, again the event is repeating out here, and event out here is transaction. So event, okay, basically this event is actually an occurrence or a happening or a phenomenon. Okay, so this event, it can be of two types. Okay, it can happen of two types. Okay, so you can say that event can be a non-economic, or you can say economic. Okay, you can say like that also. Event are of two types. One is non-economic and the other one is the economic. So non-economic, it actually merely it remains event, and the economic event will be your transaction. Okay, so simply you can say that event has two aspects, that is event itself, and the other one is the transaction. Okay, so now let me take you to this definition out here. Let us first discuss this event. So what is event, by the way? By event, we mean something what is happening or what has happened. Okay, or it, it can be an occurrence or a phenomenon, which may or may not affect the financial position of an enterprise. Okay, it may or may not involve the cash. Okay, it may or may not involve in the uh, taking or loan. Okay, but generally in accounting, what we refer is this event. We refer this event as something or a happening that does not affect the financial position of a company. So that is basically your event. Okay, so in accountancy, whenever you see this term event, okay, first you must think that this is not a transaction. It is not an economic transaction. This event, it does not affect the financial position of a company. Okay, and the examples, it can be like transfer of an employee from one branch to another branch. Okay, so when you are transferring an employee from one branch, that is from let us say Kalimpong branch to Siliguri branch, okay, then this is only an event. You will not record in the books of accounts. Okay, so this only remains an event, a happening, okay, an occurrence, a phenomenon. Okay, or if you sign a contract, again this is not an event. For example, if you sign a contract regarding the lease of a building, okay, for the purpose of business, then that signing of a contract is only an event. Okay, but the cash or the monetary transaction that is involved out here, okay, then it is your transaction. Okay, if you involve yourself in the exchange of monetary values, then it will be your transaction. Okay, so now let us see what is transaction. Now transaction is something, okay, or an event. Transaction is actually an event only, as you can see it out here. Okay, transaction is itself an event. But what kind of event? It's such an event which changes the financial position of a company. Okay, and the examples you can see it out here. Goods that is sold for cash or credit. If you sell anything, okay, if you sell your goods, okay, by goods we refer to the merchandise. Okay, if you sell anything for cash or on credit, then that is your transaction. You are selling your merchandise on cash or on credit. Okay, so that is your transaction because money is involved out here. Now you may think that when the goods are sold on credit, money is actually not involved out here, but still how this can be your transaction. Since you are selling the goods on credit, which means the goods, I mean the stock of goods that you possess is decreasing. Okay, and to whom you are selling, that person is actually obliged to pay you back the amount of money which equates with the value of the goods that we have sold. Okay, so money is involved out here. However, the payment will not be made at the same time. It will be made somewhere in future, but here the money is involved and the stock of goods is decreasing, hence it is your transaction. Okay, and if you make payment to workers, okay, salaries or wages, it is your transaction. I hope this is clear now. Okay, but still if there is any kind of confusion, feel free to ask me. Okay, you can ask me in the WhatsApp group or you can ask me in person. Okay, now again let me take you to this chart. As you already saw that event, it has two parts. Okay, number one, event itself, and the other one is your transaction. And in event, we can see that it does not affect financial position of a company, whereas transaction, it affects the financial position of a company. So hence we can say that all these transactions are events, but all the events are not transactions. because some events it can be merely event only. Okay, as we can see it out here. Transfer of an employee, signing of a contract, it is merely an event. But selling of goods for cash or on credit, payment to workers, okay, maintenance expenses, electricity expenses, okay, purchase of goods, purchase of assets, that is event, okay, as well as transaction, okay. Now, this transaction, okay, this particular transaction, it can be of two types. Transaction can be of two types: cash transaction as well as credit transaction. In cash transaction, cash is involved, and in credit transaction, cash is not involved. Okay, as you can see in this particular example here, goods sold for cash and on credit. So transaction, it can be either cash transaction or credit transaction. Now this credit, is actually the credit that we refer to in general sense. Okay, in Hindi it is called udhar, in Nepali it is called baki, isn't it? So this is actually your credit. Understood? Whenever you enter into this credit transaction, it means that the payment will be made somewhere in the future, okay, at a later point of time, okay. Payment will be made, cash will be involved, but after some period of time, okay. So I hope you have understood this cash transaction and credit transaction. Okay, so this is the end of this video. So feel free to ask me questions if there is any, okay.